Okay, hey everyone. Hi, my name is Julian, and thanks a lot for tuning into my talk. I hope you're enjoying the tourism Renaissance exhibition, and I'm here today to talk to you about luxury properties. Thank you so much for coming in on my talk. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. I've got a little presentation for you, but at the same time, what I would invite you to do is if you've got a luxury property, then now is the chance to put down some details of that luxury property in the chat. So just put a link to a website you've got, or it doesn't matter if it's just an Airbnb listing or a booking.com listing, whatever it is, just put it down in the chat. And then alongside my talk, people can have a look at all these luxury properties at the same time. It's a really good way of just lusting over some of the places that we can go to once the lockdown is lifted. So I'm going to share my screen, and here we, excuse me. Here we go. So this talk is all about converting a luxury portfolio of properties into a profitable portfolio of properties. So first of all, just a little bit on myself. I'm the manager of Richmond Group Global Properties, which is a portfolio of luxury properties located in different locations around the world. We've got properties in the UK, Chicago, France, Amsterdam, and all of these luxury properties, they've got very different characteristics as well. So we've got luxury city townhouses, we've got chateaus that have pools and hot tubs, we've got rural destinations that are located in the middle of nowhere, basically. So they've all got very different characteristics, but our challenge is to manage all of these luxury properties remotely and all for one space. So that's one of the biggest challenges we have, and it's one of the biggest challenges that all luxury property owners have, is that there's always something different about the properties that we look after. So, but that's one of the things that we enjoy doing. And this talk today is about people who are looking at the challenge of taking on a luxury property. So it is for maybe people who own a luxury property, and at the moment their property is something of a liability for them. It's not really making the money. So I want to talk about things that you can do to help it turn a profit and start working for you as a vacation rental. And it might be for people as well who own a number of different vacation rental properties and are considering acquiring, purchasing, or getting a license to use a luxury property and add it to their portfolio, because there's a lot of problems and challenges associated with them that I'm going to go through today, and hopefully it'll be really helpful for you guys. Now, as a group, we are looking to expand our portfolio in 2021. So if you've got a luxury property that you are looking to make money from, we would be really interested to talk to you about the property that you've got. So please feel free to reach out to me after the talk, and it would be really great to see what you've got. And just in general as well, if you have any kind of questions about your property, I'm really happy just to kind of help solve problems and talk about the property that you've got, and just in general to see how we can help with things. Cool. And well, I mean, look, here's some pictures of the properties that we've got. We've got some pictures of the France and Chicago and Amsterdam properties that we look after. And I think for me, the thing that this highlights is just how beautiful luxury properties are. And a lot of luxury property owners, they focus on the interior design, and they spend a lot of money on the decor for luxury properties. A lot of the time, luxury properties do a lot of the work for you. People inherit properties that have beautiful architraves and coving and natural features that make them amazing already. And you can see from these pictures that it takes less and less to get amazing pictures for your luxury property. And once again,
Julian,
I want you to go for it, please.
Share your screen. Share your screen, please, for us.
Oh, I'm not shared.
Sorry.
Sorry, I get it. Thank you for coming in. Can you see my screen now? You've got it. Perfect. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Perfect. Well, look, hey, so guys, here are some of the properties that I was talking about. Amsterdam, Chicago, and France. They're beautiful. They've got beautiful viewpoints as well. So Yeah, there we go. So, but what I want to talk about is some of the lessons that we've learned in what has been the most hectic year in vacation rental history. And this is something that people know about. We all know the story of 2020. So when the first lockdown kicked in, there were massive cancellations, and suddenly we all went from having plenty of bookings and a plan for 2020 to having no bookings whatsoever. And with luxury properties in particular, there was no prospect of group travel. And group travel is so instrumental and important to the larger properties that we have. So with that not being a prospect, everything changed and we had to plan again. The immediate challenge that we faced was to adapt our cleaning protocols, and luxury properties already have very large, complicated cleaning protocols. So having to adapt those to be COVID-19 compliant in different locations around the world was a massive challenge that we had to have. Then something that a lot of people don't know about that happened, but was a huge challenge in 2020, was people using and abusing luxury properties to host illegal gatherings and parties, and generally to break the rules that we had in place. And this was to do with, in general, a complete decline of the hospitality industry, particularly in cities. This was a real problem where people with no bars or clubs to go to would take over properties and use them for parties. So we had to adapt a number of different party prevention measures in order to kind of keep control of this problem. And so we had a minor resurgence and a little kind of window to make money in 2020 between around July and September, depending on the country. But we were only able to do this by adapting and perhaps offering lower prices, doing longer lets under certain conditions for people. It was a super tough period there. And then, of course, we did a repeat second lockdown. We did the whole thing all over again. Only this time, a lot of vacation rental providers were more prepared and had different strategies to take this on, whether it was discounting pricing, providing longer term lets, or positioning our properties in different ways. And now we're at the end, and we're looking forward to becoming open and available in 2021. So towards the end of my talk, I'm just going to talk about strategy for 2021, how I see that going. Now, if you're thinking of taking on a luxury property, first of all, it's worth going over the characteristics of them. Luxury properties have obviously an incredibly high asset value. They've not just, the properties themselves are not just worth a lot, but owners invest highly into the quality of the decor, the fixtures, the fittings, the appliances. And luxury properties all have inherently high running costs, not just the obvious ones like you would think, like the heating bill to heat a large property being so much larger, but also things like larger properties in city centres often incur really big council tax or business rates bills. And obviously cleaning and maintenance costs are incredibly high for luxury properties. And what this means is that a lot of luxury property owners are often seeking incredibly high revenue targets for their property. And sadly, what this also means is that luxury properties have a much higher rate of being left empty and unoccupied as their owners seek these high per night revenues. So what should you do when you take on a luxury property? Well, my first thing that I'd recommend doing is taking stock of the full inventory within your luxury property and preparing for a change in the way that the property is going to be used. Just in general, when you open up your luxury property to the vacation rental industry and you're going to go live on Airbnb and Booking.com and others, you're going to have to expect that your property is going to be used far more frequently, and it's going to be used by a lot more idiots, people who really don't know how to deal with some of the luxury things that you've got in your property. So anything that's expensive, whether it's a fitting, a piece of furniture, or an appliance, you need to make it idiot-proof and work out how it's going to be maintained. And then your job as a property manager is to communicate that to every single guest that comes into your property. Otherwise, there is going to be problems where people are coming in and breaking things or having trouble using things. And it's so key to be able to communicate everything to be idiot-proof to guests. And likewise, if you're a property manager and you're working with the owner of a luxury property, you need to manage expectations of how things are going to be used. If they've got shelves that are full of priceless artifacts or sofas that cost tens of thousands of pounds in the property, you need to work with them to understand what is expensive and how does it need to be managed, and how can you set up the property so that it's not going to cause you a big inconvenience to the owner of the property, and it's not going to cause you a massive hit to your profit and loss. And party prevention, like I mentioned, has been a huge problem in 2021 and something that we've had to deal with. And to be honest, I could do my own talk on party prevention because it was something that we had to deal with so thoroughly. But what I would say is that having the basics in place are essential for every luxury property. And in particular, the minute noise sensors are fantastic, and they should be in every property that needs to monitor the levels of noise and the level of movement in a property. Google Nest cameras are also fantastic. They need to be placed in specific positions so they don't affect guest privacy. But again, these will help you identify when people are abusing the property and disrespecting it and inviting extra guests around, which is what people do when they have a lot more space or when they get to your property and they see how good it is. And probably the most important part of party prevention is vetting your guests and making sure that you're getting good people booking your property. So with this, the most important thing really is putting in place a flag system for identifying problem bookings. Unfortunately, with sites like Airbnb, they just haven't adapted quick enough to deal with this. And I think that luxury properties have to turn off instant book as a feature. Or at least when you're vetting guests, you need to be able to make sure that your guests provide extra information on their stay, just so you can verify that they're authentic and that they don't plan to abuse your property. Things like asking guests for LinkedIn profile, like a link to their LinkedIn profile, or to verify their ID by providing it in a extra format, just emailing it through or taking a picture of their ID after they've booked, and just generally helping them confirm the purpose of their stay is really going to help make sure that you get good bookings for your luxury property. And really what I've learned in the last year is that the good bookings, the ones that we want to get, they don't mind providing this information. They're quite happy to provide LinkedIn profiles and take a copy of their ID. It's something that they would be familiar with if it was a large hotel asking them for this. So you should never be scared of asking these questions. And if people can't provide that information, then raise a flag. And if you get 2 or 3 flags, you don't like to accommodate a guest, you don't have to, and you'll avoid the problems in advance of them happening. Okay, so you've prepared your property and you're ready to make some money from it. What I would say is the key thing to do is to aim for 100% occupancy on your luxury property. So I mentioned that property owners are looking for high revenue, and often that takes the form of that a luxury property will be asking for 600, 800, 1400 pounds per night to rent the property. What you need to look at is to acknowledge the empty rate liability of the property you have. So how much am I really paying for this property to be empty? What reductions can I make on the property when I expect it to maybe be empty? And how can I more effectively price to make sure that the right prices are being pushed to guests at different times of year? Now, there's an important caveat here, which is that high season at luxury properties, you don't need to adjust what you're doing with. And most luxury property owners are familiar with this. They will sell out their summer dates every year. So your high season dates and also your holiday dates, whether it's Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's Eve, maybe St. Patrick's Day in different seasonal areas, you need to identify these high seasons and make sure that those dates are getting you the optimum revenue for those nights. But then on the extra dates, think about your pricing strategy. Maybe you can reduce the price with but ratchet in an extra price per guest per night, which will really help elevate the amount that you charge for those big group bookings, but at the same time will give you a bit more flexibility for guests of 2 to 4 people who could take on the property when otherwise it would be empty. Again, make sure that your cleaning costs as well are always included in the prices. It sounds simple, but it's something that a lot of people don't do. this way, you'll always make sure that you're getting extra revenue for your property. And lastly, a lot of luxury properties as well will have a week requirement throughout the high season. It's normal, especially in rural locations, because cleaning teams like to clean out on a perhaps every Saturday or every Sunday. So there's a week requirement. If possible, try and ditch this, because in low season, people want that flexibility to be able to choose 3-day getaways, 2-day getaways. So I think it's really important to be adaptable and change your approach to maximize your revenue for your property. Now, in 2020, we did this by one thing that was instrumental for us. It was picking a property management system to do this, because our property was fully dependent on Airbnb. And this is a big problem that a lot of luxury property managers have. You want to be able to ditch that dependency on Airbnb. You want to be able to pull bookings from Booking.com, from Vrbo, from Rentals United, and a property management system was essential with this. So we picked Guesty, and we've been very happy with Guesty. One of the benefits of picking a good property management system has been the guest communications that we have. They're just far more well-rounded and dependable. They send out information and automated messages and really help us create a good guest experience through the communication. But there's loads of other property management systems, and I'm sure you'll be introduced to some of them as you go around and talk to some of the exhibitors at Tourism Renaissance. I just think that it's really important to put something in place that can elevate your business. And in particular with pricing, a property management system is really good at being able to just pick dates that look suspiciously empty, and for you to adjust the prices or the strategy accordingly to maximize the revenue for your property. Now, I want to talk a little bit quickly about cost management for luxury properties, because they have such high inherent costs. Now, one thing we're lucky to have as a group of properties is that we have quite high quality management accounts. So the management accounts that we get for all of our properties help identify variances, whether it can be increased heating bills between different years, or a maintenance spend that is too high relative to the profitability of a property. The management accounts that we get are really good and high quality and allow us to flag that quite early on. So if it's possible for you to invest time in high quality management accounts, then I would recommend that you do it. However, not every luxury property manager can do this. So my general approach is to make sure that your team of your property are fully aware that all of the costs within your property need to be managed closely. So your maintenance costs, your cleaning costs, they need to be aware that these need to be relative to whether or not the property is making money or not. And in general, if you've got luxury fittings in a property, you need to maybe be aware that that these need to be maintained properly. They can't be breaking down. There needs to be guest instructions to make sure that they're not abused. And I think in general, cost management like this is going to help a luxury property turn a profit. Okay, so look, those are some tips on how to manage a luxury property. And the last thing I wanted to talk about during my talk is about looking forward to 2021 and what luxury properties should think about. Now, in 2021, I think you're going to see in the vacation rental industry a lot of focus on experiences, experience-focused stays. The main driver of this is that there are low barriers to entry for people to set up vacation rentals. And I think a lot of people set up vacation rentals where the actual property itself is nothing really to shout about. And therefore, they put in place things that identify the experiences around that property. So they might have a property in the suburbs, but they might say, oh, it's only a 10-minute walk from the tube station where you can get into central London. Or they might say, oh, there's a fantastic restaurant around the corner. So with luxury properties, I think it's important for you to think about what inside your property can create the best experiences. So if you've got a dining room in your luxury property, think about whether you could enable an experience with a private chef there. Or if you've got a hot tub or a pool in your property, maybe the view from that hot tub or pool is going to be better than a hot tub or a pool at a less luxury property. So think about the experiences that you can create within your property and create content that is going to help broadcast that experience to your possible customers, whether that is through video content or better photos. I feel that if we think about the experiences that people can have within our luxury properties, that's what's going to help us be the difference and let us get the increased revenues that we deserve for owning our properties. Okay, cool. So I've only had 20 minutes, so I've been talking really quick. I really hope it's been helpful for some of you guys. I just wanted to summarize the approach. So in general, with your luxury properties, get them prepared for frequent usage. Your vacation rentals are going to be used a lot more than they previously were, and they're going to be used by people who might not be familiar with how to treat your luxury property. Then when it's prepared, avoid empty dates in your calendar. Be adaptable and change your pricing structure. Make sure that whilst you're operating, that your costs for your property are fully managed. Make sure your team is fully aware of what you expect from them and what you can spend on your property. And then looking forward, hopefully you can provide amazing experiences for your property. So think about what it can do and include that throughout all of your marketing. Okay, cool. I hope it's been really helpful. My name again is Julian, and my company website, richmondgroup.properties, is there. I will check out all of your comments in the chat and look forward to talking to you all soon. Thanks a lot, and I hope you have a great show.